Today's video is brought to you in part by War Thunder. Quick recap of my previous award-winning video. Splatoon 3 is the best Splatoon game. However, it's a bit too similar to the previous two Splatoon games. A nearly endless list of new tiny improvements, from a ton of quality of life improvements to small new features like lockers and banners, and the best hero mode campaign of the three games. However, there was not really any large feature to make it distinct enough from Splatoon 2, which is also on the Nintendo Switch. Every season did introduce some new game features. However, each one was more underwhelming than the last, or less whelming? The few brand new game modes, like Tricolor Splatfest, Big Run, Extra Work, and Challenges, were variations on existing modes, and only available for a limited time. And new weapons, be it brand new weapons or new kit options for existing weapons, were distributed at a surprisingly slow rate, and in a strange pattern, with some classes receiving a ton of new options right at the start, and others receiving 0 for a full year. Season 5, Drizzle Season. We covered the start of this season last year, but here's a quick recap. 8 new kit variations of existing weapons, including the second Tri-Stringer, the weapon on the cover of the game finally receiving a variation 1 year into the game, and I have absolutely zero interest in using this kit. 2 brand new weapons, the Heavy Edit Splatling, which is like a medium Splatling, and the Dread Ringer, which is like a duo slosher, or maybe a bi-slosher? 2 brand new maps, Crap Leg Capital and Shit Shape Cargo. I'm just kidding, these are 2 of the better maps they've added. I like how on Crab Leg you can see Hagglefish Market in the distance. It reminds me of the Mario Sunshine connected world. I guess it's also worth noting that 160 new locker decorations and 140 locker stickers were added. More stuff is of course good, but also I have not looked at anyone's locker in a year. 80 new banners and 400 new banner titles, which are just the words on the banner, but at least you're unlocking something, right? You can flip certain hats backwards and wear a bigger version of certain shirts, which is a nice addition that they added a year later. Some of these updates reminds me of that gif of putting railroad tracks in front of the train while on the train. The 1-year anniversary Splatfest happened, where the question was who would make the best leader of Deep Cut. And Shiver's team won and had the most popularity, even though Fry literally leads Eel Team 6 into space. Did y'all not play the game? For Salmon Run editions, there was the returning stage Salmon Smoke Yard. There's no major noticeable changes, but it is easier to play because you can toss eggs across the gap, but good luck trying to fight any king salmon in high tide. This season's Big Run added the Grizzco Dualies, where the main weapon is utter garbage and instead you primarily attack by rolling 9 times in a row, which is interesting and pretty funny. 3 new ugly ass work suits were added at 150 silver scales each, so it will take you months to unlock one of them. Deep Cut amiibo were sold, and you know what? It's been enough time. These were the lamest amiibo gear pieces. They all look like Kmart version of Deep Cut's regular outfits. I ain't never seen anybody wearing these. In October, there was a Halloween Splatfest. In the second year of Splatoon 3, there was also Frosty Fest and Chill Season, Spring Fest and Fresh Season, and Summer Nights and Sizzle Season. All these themed Splatfests look great. They decorate the lobby with unique decorations. There's new variations of the intro and victory songs and cool little extra effects in the ink. You can get cool clothes from the news, but not the news, but the news on the Switch home screen. I wonder how many players don't know about this and never get this stuff. Comment below if you're just now learning about it. I don't know. At this point, after a year of playing Splatoon 3, playing a lot of the same weapons and same modes in the game, and with so many other games I was playing instead, I was gradually falling off of Splatoon 3, playing the bare minimum to finish the catalog and not much else. But hey, it's not like Splatoon 3 would, I don't know, add a special weapon that will give players motion sickness and headaches the next season, right? Season 6, Chill Season 2023. No brand new main weapons this season, however, 9 new weapon variations, including 2 new specials. Triple Splashdown, a variation from Splatoon 2's Splashdown, which original Splashdown was in Splatoon 3 single player, but not the multiplayer. But I think Triple Splashdown is much better in this one, since you're a lot less likely to get killed as soon as you activate it. Or at the very least, you can also get a kill while you die, since there's 3 of them via Shadow Clone Jitsu. And the other special added, a brand new special, the Splatter Color Screen. why the splatter color screen is the worst thing Splatoon has ever done in literally every possible aspect of making a video game. You throw it and it's a big gloopy wall that slowly moves. Ah, like a splash wall, you may think. Nope, the other team can still shoot through it. If the other team touches the screen, first they take 40 damage, which is less than the damage of one bullet from the Splattershot Pro, and second, the TV screen gets less saturated and the sound gets all fucky. I think it's supposed to be like a flashbang like in other shooter games. The problem with this is that something about the way Splatoon implemented it caused a lot of players to experience motion sickness and headaches from getting hit with the screen, especially when it first came out. For the sake of posterity, I'm going to show the original effect and the new effect. If you're affected by it, then skip ahead about 20 seconds or look away from your screen for a few seconds. Here's the first effect, and about 3 weeks after its debut, it was patched to the new effect after a large amount of polite yet persistent fan feedback, letting Splatoon know, hey, this is causing problems in players. It's one thing to try Splatoon, it gives you motion sickness, you return the game, you don't play it. It's a whole nother thing to be happily playing Splatoon for a year and 3 months, no issues at all, and then suddenly they add something in the game that gives you motion sickness. And the fixed version dims your display instead of brightening your display, but still causes some problems in players. It's still, to this day, not fully fixed. It does not feel fair to have a special weapon that disproportionately only affects some players and not others. And it's not even like a, if you don't like it, don't use it situation. You have to hope that the other players on the other team don't use it on you. Why didn't they just do the blooper from Mario Kart? This would have had a similar intended effect and fixed all their problems. Also, ableism aside, this special fucking sucks ass and also sucks balls? Many would say it's the worst one in the game? Somehow even worse than Wave Breaker? First of all, it's pretty easy to dodge. At most, it's a displacement special, forces the other team to move. Second of all, 40 damage! There are specials like Trizuka that kill you in less than 1 second if you are on the same map as Trizuka. Third, it's a debuff for your own team too? Look, there are certainly times where you can activate your special at the wrong time or in the wrong spot, but screen always screws up your own team because it blocks your vision. You can't see through it! Why isn't it like a one-way mirror effect or like a thermal ink effect for your team if you're looking through it? I know some players who just throw it off the map when they activate it. I know some Splatoon streamers who don't allow screen weapons to be played on their streams in private battles. Some Splatoon tournaments in December 2023 banned weapons with the screen until after it got fixed. Fourth, it doesn't even do that good of a job at disrupting a lot of players' ability to play the game. So here's how you fix the screen. 50 damage, blooper ink on screen, throw in a toxic mist disrupted effect for a few seconds, the other team touches it, your own team can see through it, and it applies thermal ink to anyone gazing through it. This would have been better, I like to think. Also, when this completely brand new special was added, it was only on 2 weapons for 3 months. It was on the Sorella Undercover Brella, a very niche weapon that is also not fun to play and also kind of bad. I refuse to buy it on principle. And the Foil Squeezer, an extremely good main weapon at high level play, but also pretty niche. Because the main weapon gives you carpal tunnel if you play it correctly, which we ain't even got time to talk about that today. I do not know how this awful, ableist, dumbass special made it out of quality assurance. I do think the best option the devs could have taken in early December would have been to remove it from the game entirely, while it was still only on 2 pretty niche weapons. No one is gonna be sad about the splatter color screen leaving, and then issue an official apology, compensate the player with like, I don't know, a new t-shirt that says RIP screen, and work it into the lore for Splatoon 4. Make the villain an evil TV screen that was invading the Splatoon world early. Oh, and also, it's been deleted now, but the English Splatoon Twitter account announced that the new Chilled Season pencil variant would have splatter color screen as its sub-weapon? What the fuck? It doesn't even have screen at all! Come on, intern kun! So from its design, to its implementation, to its slow patching, to its distribution, even to its marketing, the splatter color screen was an across-the-board, unequivocal, complete fucking failure. Still better than foam stars using generative AI though. Anyways, what else we got in Chill Season? 16 new gear pieces only available in the catalog, but near the start of the catalog, and repeat items from the old catalogs in the back half, which would make you think that longtime players wouldn't have to grind all 100 levels of the catalog. But that begs the question, why are you still putting a new, unique, missable victory pose at the end of the catalog anyways? But there are still a few new gear pieces given to the player for free for Frosty Fest from the Switch's news. So that's something. 2 new stages, a revamp of fan favorite Splatoon 1 map, Bluefin Depot, which it's been enough time, I'm brave enough to say it, this new version of Bluefin is not that good, and awkward to play on, and barely feels like the original Bluefin from Splatoon 1, which is one of my favorite stages. And Robo Ramen, a brand new stage that takes place inside a ramen restaurant, and it has 2 levels to fight on, and it's pretty good. I like this stage. Challenges, the limited time wacky mode, were expanded to 6 time slots per day, so players can actually play them now, which I complained about last time, so what can I say except, you're welcome. Salmon Run added a new king salmon boss, Megalodontia, which I had to look up the actual name of because everyone, including me, calls it Joe or Joe Maw Maw. It's a big old shark that pops out of the ground. Your attacks are extra effective by focusing on its nipple, just like real life, ladies. And when it pops out of the ground, it can eat other boss salmon for quick golden eggs. Overall, I really like all 3 king salmon and how the fights all play differently from each other. But I definitely prefer how with the Boris and Joe fights, you have to strategize a little bit more than you do with Koizuna, who's just a big damage sponge. This season also changed the big run scoring system. Before, your rank was determined by how well your highest score was against other players, if you're in the top 5%, top 25%, or top 50%. And you wouldn't know how well you were doing until Big Run was over. In the new version, the required highest scores for gold, silver, and bronze were preset and told to the player before Big Run, so you'd know how high a score you would need to get in advance. I do not think I would have done it this way, and I wouldn't call it a good change or a bad change. It's a change. It appeals to different types of players, which is a whole discussion for a separate video. Before, you were pushed to grind more and more and pushed to reach a higher score. Nowadays, you know how well you need to do for the highest reward, so you can't complain about sweaty players who may or may not have been knocking you out of a gold decoration, but you're less extrinsically incentivized to continue playing after you hit the highest score threshold once, unless you want more of the double skills in fighting the king salmon. In the Switch Online app, the game still tells you how well you did versus other players, it just doesn't affect your rewards. A simple way to maybe improve this would be to still have your fixed preset score threshold, but you only learn it after Big Run is over, so players are still incentivized to grind and push for higher scores, but you won't have to worry about how well other players are doing. That's maybe how I would have done it. Streaking was added in Anarchy series, where you get a little crown when you spawn in if you get 5 wins in multiple Anarchy series in a row, and I think that's cool. However, this update was honestly, between the screen, the lack of weapons, new specials only being on 2 weapons each, the overall just lack of content, this season was one of the weakest ones yet. Hold it! We gotta give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, War Thunder. Y'all, War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and is available on PC and consoles for my favorite price, free. Given that I'm something of a captain myself, it's real cool how War Thunder has over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 different nations and all across history. From ye old biplanes and armored cars in the 1920s to ye new fighter planes and battle tanks of today. And all these vehicles are incredibly detailed with realistic graphics and authentic sound effects to put you right into the action. I would know, given that I'm something of a captain myself. You can join a global community of over 70 million players in PvP battles today. This is a very sophisticated experience, especially for fans of military history. The battles are highly detailed with X-ray view, giving you the lowdown on exactly what was going on with your machine after you get destroyed because you might have been playing against me, and I'm something of a captain myself. You can play War Thunder for free right now on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox using my link in the description or pinned comment. Plus, I got the hookup for y'all. New players and returning players that haven't played in 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack from across all platforms that include multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of a premium account. But it's available for a limited time only, so just like a jet plane, you gotta be quick! Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. However, the Side Order DLC campaign launched during the last week before the season ended. I think the launch day was originally supposed to be announced at the Splatoon World Championships, but the World Championships got rescheduled because, oh my god, what the hell is wrong with people? I drafted a whole review of Side Order, but never edited the video together because I'm extremely lazy. Here's the abridged version of that review. Quick review on Side Order. The plot. To be real, I don't remember all the details. The souls of Pearl, Marina, Agent 8, and Oct, aka Deadfish, got sucked into the video game Nier Automata and have to climb a big tower to fight their way out. Pearl and Marina are two of Nintendo's coolest characters ever. Deadfish actually gets to appear in the game, and I enjoyed a lot of the elevator dialogue between them. All these cool characters in the game, and I still can't figure out which one is the main dish and which one is the side order. There's a lot of lore that you unlock as you progress. It talks about Marina developing a system to help other Octolings overcome their past trauma by going through mentally intensive challenges, which is an actual thing in real life, so it's really cool that they reference that. But most of Splatoon's storytelling is told through reading optional logbooks, and it's no different here. In terms of the actual events of the campaign, Side Order's plot felt more like an epilogue to Octo Expansion, not so much its own thing. The presentation. The game mode has a monochrome aesthetic, which I like at first, but kinda wears thin after a while. There is a ton of variety in terms of map layout, but considering most of the maps visually kinda look the same, it all kinda blends together after a while, which is maybe the point? I don't know. Maybe it would have been better if more colors were gradually added the higher up you go, or if the more palettes you completed, more colors got added. I'm just guessing here. And the music, well, there's two categories of good video game music. Fits the game well and sounds good on its own. Side Order's soundtrack is purely in category A. I love the music while I am playing Side Order, but ain't nobody listening to any of these outside the game. Overall, Side Order's appearance and vibe feels like you're exploring a half-finished video game, which is the point because that's what it is. Speaking of feeling like a half-finished video game, the gameplay. Side Order is Splatoon 3's roguelite mode, and ultimately, it's fine. For those unaware, a roguelike is a game style where you go through the game, usually a format with a set of randomly ordered challenges. You gradually unlock randomly determined upgrades as you progress, but if you die, you lose all of your upgrades and you start all the way back at the beginning of the game and start again from scratch, playing a different set of challenges and unlocking a different set of upgrades on your next run. A roguelite is a similar situation, but you can also slowly unlock permanent upgrades that are with you through all your subsequent runs. Side Order is the second one, where you're climbing up the 30 floors of the Spire of Order, and between runs, Marina can hack the game to make you stronger and make each run a little bit easier. I'll admit that I have not played a ton of rogues outside of Dungeons and Dragons. The two I've played the most are Enter the Gungeon and Hades. Regardless, they tend to be an intentionally challenging genre. I think a lot of the thrill, the game essence, as Sakurai would put it, of roguelikes come from seeing what wild and wacky new abilities you unlock that change up the gameplay each time, learning which abilities you like, and trying to optimize your build for future tough challenges. Now, the challenge with making a Splatoon roguelite, a genre known for its difficulty, is that a sizable chunk of Splatoon's player base looks like this, and they should be able to beat Side Order too. Splatoon approaches this by having players set their own difficulty, both by selecting how many permanent upgrades you're taking with you, and by choosing difficulty level in each chamber. You can pick a mostly easy run, you can pick a mostly difficult run, and get more rewards for clearing it, or you can ignore difficulty and just go for abilities. The thing is, I didn't really notice that much difference between medium and hard. The abilities you unlock as you progress felt a little underwhelming. Most of them don't radically change your playstyle, it's just the weapon you're using, but slightly better, or now it's like you equipped special charge up, or now this weapon plays like a weapon that's already in multiplayer mode. Sorry, don't get excited for a chip of plus 10% ink recovery up, you know. There are a few abilities that you don't have access to already in multiplayer, but not enough of them. And I was kind of hoping for more exploration of abilities that wouldn't work in multiplayer, but would be a lot of fun to use in a game where you're shooting skeleton fish. The most unique ability you have access to in Side Order is the Pearl Drone, who helps you shoot and glide around, and I think it's cool and cute. It's not until like the last 3 or 4 floors of your run where it really feels like your final build fully comes online. But given that each floor takes a minute or less, I think it would have been a more engaging experience if the scale at which you power up was initially steeper and leveled off towards the end, or if there was more of a final stretch to really unleash your build. For example, in Hades, there's a big long labyrinth at the end of each run to really feel your full power. In Side Order, as soon as you finally feel like you're at full power, it's over. There are 5 different objective types: destroy the portals spawning enemies, shoot the tower, which is like tower control but better, protect the splat zone like you do in Splat Zones, chase down the little runts, and push the infinity ball, which is like the 8 ball from Octo Expansion, but everyone complained about it even though it wasn't that bad, but they still made it more user friendly here. I feel like there should have been 1 or 2 more objective types just to add in more variety, but there are a few random events and conditions that can occur to mix things up a little bit, which I like. There are 2 boss fights along the way to the top floor out of a pool of only 3. There definitely should have been more possible boss fights. By your second run, you've kind of seen everything the game mode has to offer gameplay wise, which sucks because I was able to clear the Spire of Order on my second run when I barely had any permanent upgrades. I only died on my first run because I straight up misinputted on a boss fight, hit the wrong button and died. The only other time I failed a run was when I was using the Stringer, a weapon that I 5-starred, and couldn't output enough DPS to cover the splat zone on a rigorous level. I don't even think I died, I think I just mentally gave up. The thing about rogues is that you're not supposed to beat them just once. You do it multiple times. Other roguelites I've played will have more story progression with successful runs, and sometimes even with failed runs. This doesn't really happen in Side Order after your first clear, other than unlocking more logbook entries. I'm not even gonna put a spoiler warning here because there's nothing worth spoiling. What happens at the top floor of subsequent runs is the main characters go, "Smollusk, what's wrong with you?" And then Smollusk says,
"Maybe I'll tell you if you beat me in a fight."
And then you do the exact same boss fight as last time with some of the most music in the entire series, and then Smollusk goes,
"Never mind, I'm not telling you boo anything."
And this happens like 7-8 times in a row. I get not wanting to have the bulk of the story occur after your first clear, because I'm sure many players will only beat Side Order once or twice and be done. But there should have been something more satisfying with the dialogue here. It makes sense that this is Splatoon 2 themed DLC, because it reminds me of grinding out the hero weapons by completing every single level 9 times. This is a bad thing. Oh, and there's no secret final boss after clearing it with each weapon or anything. The final challenge is clear it with the Octo Shot, and you can only equip a few hacks. I beat the game at the start with only no hacks. This is not a finale. Other single player modes end with a bang. Side Order kind of fizzles out with a whimper. I will say that while I had a positive experience overall with this DLC, but I think that's ultimately the biggest weakness of Side Order. It feels repetitive, and the whole point of roguelites are the repetition, but none of them feel repetitive to play. Side Order is ultimately fine, but a little undercooked. I rank it 3rd in Splatoon single player modes. I do hope they revisit the roguelike concept in the future and expand on the ideas here, because the coolest thing about Side Order was the concept art they put in the trailer, but very little of it made it into the actual game. However, most of my criticism comes from such obviously missed potential, and how fair is that of me? Am I going too hard on one chunk of the Splatoon 3 expansion pass DLC? Yeah, maybe. Clearing Side Order gives players access to Inkopolis Square as a hub area, and with Wave 1 giving you Inkopolis Plaza, all 3 Splatoon plazas are in one game, and I think that's really cool, especially now being able to see all 3 musical groups perform during each Splatfest. And for how it felt for Splatoon 3 as a whole, Side Order absolutely helped to revitalize interest and re-energize excitement in the game. It was a great way to build momentum going into the next season. Season 7, Fresh Season 2024. 8 new kit variations, 9 if you count the E-Liter and E-Liter scope separately. 2 brand new weapons that I've barely played, a new Brella with barely a shield, and new dualies that can barely roll, which are the whole gimmicks of those weapon classes. The recycled Brella 24 Mark 1, which is like a cross between a bamboo and a Brella. The shield flies off really fast. The Dowser Dualies FF, which stands for firefighting, not front, has 2 firing modes, long range and slow, and then you roll and it's fast but short range, almost like a reverse Gluga Dualies in a sense. Also, it can only roll once, which is dumb. Remember that thing I said in the last video about adding dog shit weapons and then slowly buffing them later? A good addition though, 152 pieces of gear were added to the shops. Even if it is all repeat gear from Splatoon 2, it is nice to go into the shop and have things to buy. Bunny Day, Easter Splatfest, what was it called? Springfest, where you get Crocs. But also, Fizz Bangs were added to Splatfest, which are like mini bombs, and as the match goes on, you can hold more and more Fizz Bangs. They're not a huge game changer, but it is cool that there's another unique mechanic to Splatfests, a year and a half into the game, but more stuff is always welcome. Only one new stage this time, Marlin Airport. It has similar aesthetic problems I mentioned before, where it feels like you're fighting nearby a location and not at that location. Especially with an airport, there are so many different things you could do. Like, you could take the part of Marlin Airport that you actually fight on, put it underwater on a mountaintop, and it wouldn't feel any different. But it does feature the return of the propeller platforms, which is a unique gameplay mechanic which sets it apart from other stages. For Salmon Run, 3 new Gloop suits were added, Peach and Lime suits costing 50 scales each, and Berry at 150 scales. It's nice that they're not all 150 scales, because even Silver silver scales can take a long time to earn. And a brand new salmon run stage, Boner Arena. Yay! And it's the final salmon run stage. Huh? This stage is funny because you're surrounded by a coliseum of salmon, which is cool, but they move at like 3 frames per second, which wouldn't be that big a deal, but it's not a good look when every time you spawn into the map, the first thing you see is a PowerPoint presentation background. A common thing in Switch games is that objects in the distance run at lower frame rates until you get closer to save processing power, I assume, but usually it's less noticeable. Maybe they could have blended it with a depth of field effect, I don't know. Anyways, it looks like shit, and the rest of the stage is forgettable. All of the new Salmon Run maps play fine, but they don't really feel all that unique compared to each other. They all blend together. I had to look up the names of some of the new maps. On Marooner's Bay, you're fighting on a ship with elevators, which feels different from Lost Outpost, with its tall walls which provide 3 choke points, which feels different from Salmon and Smoky Yard's moving platforms and gap in the middle, which feels different from Ruins of Arc Polaris being very vertical map and its fun grind rails. Everyone loves grind rails in video games, not to mention that big ass crashed space shuttle and the lore implications from the map itself, but those are all Splatoon 2 Salmon maps. Meanwhile, in Splatoon 3's new Salmon maps, Boner Arena has a few ink rails in random spots, I guess. Gone Fission Hydro Plant is a square. Jammin' Salmon Junction is straight. You see what I mean? They all kind of feel like variations of the same map and share similar problems with the versus stages where you're fighting next to the location instead of fighting at those locations. In Season 7, I was again just playing enough to get the catalog. Just to show you how much less I've been playing, I reached 5-star with the bow in Season 2, switched to the Tri-Sarge Nouveau in Season 3, but didn't reach 5 stars with that until Season 7, where I was stuck in S+ rank. In Season 6 and 7, I spent more time in S+, and it was miserable. Anarchy Open is a mess sometimes. It's the calmer low-stakes quick play mode combined with the sweaty 4-player with comms team practice mode, since there's no dedicated league or squad battle. And in each match, you don't know which one you're gonna get. You could be playing with 2 rando B-rank Splooshamatics on your team, going up against 4-player top X-rank players on the other team, which is why I would play more Anarchy series, because at least then everyone is probably the same rank as you, and I assumed I would lose the rank up battles in S rank, but end up winning and be stuck in S+. And look, it's impossible to make any sort of perfect ranked system. However, it is way too easy to get to S+. I think you only need to win like 2 Anarchy series, win the rank up battles, and then boom, you're there. As a result, there were some very one-sided battles. Either you win in the first 2 minutes, or you lose in the first 2 minutes. And weirdly enough, you can't rank down unless you choose to rank down, but you can only do so once per season. You've got pretty good players going up against some of the best players in the world. And as more casual players gradually drop off, the best in the world will be some of the only ones left. One match, I was going up against Avalon, and I'm like, wait, I know Avalon because they're the #1 ranked Clan Blitz player in the world! The whole world! I should not be facing up against Avalon! I'm old! Splatoon 1 came out the same month I graduated college! I'm too old to grind this game. Let me leave! The game is more fun when you're playing against people near your skill level, and I can't beat the Splatana Stamper. I can't do it. It kills you in 1 hit, or a combo that's so fast it might as well just be 1 hit. It has like 1 billion range and no RNG. Yeah, it takes some time to learn, but after a year, everyone's learned it by now. There is nothing the Tri-Sarge could do against it. All the weapons got basically the same kit every game. Oh no, but not the Tri-Sarge. I can't have the new bone kit from Splatoon 2. I've had to learn this weapon 6 fucking times. You don't get a Splat Bomb, you get Fizzy Bomb. Shake the whole controller to throw a Fizzy Bomb. Totally not a pain in the ass. Again, how many things in Splatoon are designed to exacerbate carpal tunnel? Throwing Tentacruder again to die even faster. Are you having fun? If you are at X rank, you do have access to 3 different rotations at any time, which is nice. After 5-star in the bucket, I just said fuck it and started using the Splatter Shot Nova in X Battle and giving my better teammates constant intel. If I ain't having fun, nobody's having fun. A few players got mad at me for using the Nova Shot in X Battle. Meanwhile, there's always at least one ineffective Splooshomatic who goes 5 and 13 in every single match. No one ever complains about them. But with the Nova Shot, if you can keep your opening gambit active the whole match, it's almost pretty good. One guy even threw a temper tantrum mid-match because I was playing Nova Shot, and he was shooting me instead of the enemies. Like, bro, play the game. As much as there are cracked Splatoon addicts in X Battle, there are just as many people who are good enough to get here, but somehow don't don't know the basic rules of each mode. I don't expect everyone to play perfect or make the 100% correct choices all the time, but some of y'all have the craziest tunnel vision and single track minds I've ever seen. I'm talking about like players in X rank Rainmaker literally skipping the first checkpoint and not turning around. Mechanically skilled, complete fucking dumbasses. And it doesn't help that Splatoon 3 has the worst battle music in the entire series. If you are losing, this soundtrack does not motivate you in the slightest to mount a comeback. Season 8, Sizzle Season 2024. 2 brand new weapons were added. It only took 1 year and 9 months, enough time to birth 2 babies, to finally have a new type of stringer and a new type of spatana. Reminder that Splatoon 2 added several new types of dualies and umbrellas within 7 months of launch. The Well String 5, which is a stringer that shoots 5 shots instead of 3, and the Mint Decapitator. Nope, Mint Decavitator. Almost like a cross between 80% spatana and 20% Octobrush with its big ass hitbox, which makes sense as a toothbrush weapon. So basically they added a new spatana for people who can't aim and a stringer for people who can't be bothered to aim. Sounds right up my alley. Their alternate kits came out at the same time as the new weapons, giving players options. And I think it should have been this way all the time. But why is the bow variant so samey? All they did was slap the fucking sticker on it.
What the hell is this?
Especially when compared to the new Spatana. I know the custom brand in universe is lazy or whatever, but from the player perspective, this sucks. You were doing so well at first, and then they just stopped partway through. Add the sticker, but change the color too. It's literally 2 mouse clicks. To be fair, the handle changes color. You know, the handle that you cannot see because the hand is covering it up. In addition to the 4 new homies, 6 variations of existing weapons were added, including, oh look, the custom range blaster kit from Splatoon 1. I love the custom range blaster. You miss twice and you get a kill. You actually aim once, it's a 1-hit KO, and plus you got Splat Bomb, which is always good. Oh, and also an invincibility special, Kraken. Definitely not one of the most broken main set special weapon combos in Splatoon history. Tower control definitely won't be an unplayable mess. Yeah, wahoo! But finally, all the weapons that have been in the game since launch in September of 2022 have their second kit in June of 2024. For reference, Splatoon 1 it took about 8 months for every weapon, even new ones added later to have their second kits. Splatoon 2, it took less than a year. But hey, better really late than never. Only one new stage, Lemuria Hub. The stage itself is fine. It's one of the few linearly symmetric stages and not radially symmetric. It kind of reminds me of Splatoon 2's flagship stage, the Reef, with the bridge in the middle. It has slidey platforms, and it's at a train station. Hell yeah, trains. Y'all know I love trains. But yet again, it's the problem of fighting near a location and not at that location. It does not feel like you're at a train station in any of the modes, unless you stop playing and look at the background. At this point, Splatoon 3 has 24 maps, the same number as Splatoon 2. As long as you don't include the unique Splatfest maps that Splatoon 2 also had, we don't have to talk about those. None of the announcements in any language said that this was the final map, unlike they did for Salmon Run's Boner Arena in the last season. However, at time of writing, Season 9 has not added a new stage in regular rotation, so I don't know. They also reworked 13 maps, mostly by duct taping on different paths to get to the middle of the map so players aren't funneled through the same routes over and over, which I complained about a year ago. Once again, you're welcome. Some of these changes do feel like band-aids on a bullet wound, but it's a good effort overall for the 3D schmovement shooter to have more schmovement schmoptions. 17 new pieces of gear, again only in the catalog, but I'm still collecting the Splatoon 2 gear in the shop that was added in the previous season, so it wasn't a big deal. For Salmon Run, 3 new slop suit colors were added, silver, gold, and rainbow, which feel like endgame suits. Each one costs 150 silver scales, which takes several months to collect just one of them, even if you play the mode consistently. I'm glad I waited for the new season because I was just about to buy the Berry Gloop suit, which I didn't really even want, and I would have been very mad if I did. And then these better suits come out a week later. Instead, we going Gold Ranger. Big run happened near the start of this season, which is the previous big run maps we've already had, which are already the versus maps we already play on, except all of them at once in rotation. It is nice having rotations though. Assuming big run or something similar comes back in the future, I think every future big run should have at least 2 stages in the rotation for the weekend. I do think that big run would have been a great opportunity for more players, like 5, 6, or even 8-player salmon run, considering the big runs take place on 8-player versus maps, and have that as an option that scales with the difficulty with the number of players, and it would have been a good way to reuse assets while still providing a fresh gameplay experience. But one thing that is a brand new experience while reusing assets is the triumvirate boss fight, which is all 3 king salmon at once. Something I never noticed until I saw a tweet about it and then felt stupid for not noticing it sooner. The 3 king salmon mirror the 3 members of Deep Cut: eel, shark, and big dude. Fighting all 3 bosses at once may sound impossible, but you can sick Joe on the other 2 bosses for massive damage. Maybe that's a hint for Splatoon 4's story. Probably not, but maybe. And for big run, you get triple scales, so you can get 30 bronze scales instead of 10. This amount should be the normal drop rates all the time. I get that Salmon Run is a commentary on grueling work and capitalism, but like, come on man, this is some bullshit. There at least still really needs to be a scales exchange. Anyways, I really did enjoy playing big run with friends, because Salmon Run is fun, but it's still repeated content we've already seen, just all at once now. It's something that made it even more fun was that this big run introduced what is most likely the final of the new Grizzco weapons in Splatoon 3, the Grizzco Roller. I'm not sure how good the weapon is in certain situations, but it is so much goddamn fun to play, and it's such a funny weapon. It don't matter how good it is. Everyone loves the Grizzco Roller. Everyone playing it was making vroom vroom sounds all weekend. Quick detour about Grizzco weapons. It's nice that they added another Grizzco weapon that feels like a super weapon, not a weirdo weapon that feels like it has min-max stats. Now what do I mean by that? Well, here's a Venn diagram to help explain. There's feels like a turbo weapon, G Blaster, G Brella, G Roller. I get one of these and my casual ass is like, hell yeah, I'm about to go Wamba mode. I mean, G Brella ain't got no shield, but the shield on regular Brella don't work anyways. A little bit of both turbo and weird, G Stringer and G Charger. And the weirdo weapons, G Slosher, G Doolies, G Splatana. And don't get me wrong, these weapons are very powerful. They are god tier to play in the right hands. But a Splatana that can't fucking paint the floor and paint the floor in the video game, or Doolies that can't fucking shoot in the shoot the enemies game, or a Slosher that gets 4 slow ass attacks and then you get stuck in the salmon ink, unable to refill. These can be very frustrating to use in certain situations. This is only sort of related to Splatoon, but near the start of this season, support for Twitter was removed from Nintendo Switches. To paraphrase one of my own tweets, I do not really blame Nintendo and other console companies for not wanting to pay $40,000 a month for access to Twitter's API so they can send their E for Everyone audience to a website while they'll be spammed with my pussy and bio replies where you can't scroll for more than 3 minutes on the For You page before seeing cartoonishly racist posts, literal Nazi propaganda, pedo shit, AI shit, a movement for drinking unpasteurized milk? What the fuck? What used to be a site for quick news and funny posts from your friends has quickly turned into a microcosm of some of the worst humanity has to offer. I wonder why the advertisers are leaving. Masterful gambit. You train-hating apartheid Clyde. And with this change, it feels like you do see fewer posts in the plaza outside of Splatfest, and fewer replays being uploaded online. The successor to Miiverse is truly dying now.
Keep politics out of games.
Keep religion out of games!
I will never shut up about Jesus. He loves.
But don't worry y'all, you can still post directly from your Switch to Facebook if that's what you're into. You can still save a replay from your Switch to your phone by scanning 2 QR codes and uploading it from there, or plug your Switch into a computer and get it that way. But people have been posting less. It's how probability works. If something is harder to do, it's gonna happen less often. If there are more steps to do something, then less people are going to do all of those steps. This section is actually about gun control. There was a brand new seasonal Splatfest, Summer Nights in July. They also changed Splatfest so sometimes mirror matches against your own team gives you extra conch shells, so that match is not a complete waste of time. This should have been in the game at launch, but it's great that it's here now. And to be fair, given that it's 3 teams instead of 2, it is rarer to get mirror matches nowadays compared to the previous games. But even when the teams are pretty even, it still happens more than you'd think. I think this is the best season of year 2. Brand new weapons and the brand new class make it feel fresh. For me personally, the well string is so much fun to use, and having a brand new weapon that's actually fun helped bring me back into the game. I've been mostly using the custom well string and getting to experience firsthand how complete butt-ass Wavebreaker is. But also, it can't be buffed much because one Wavebreaker is really bad, but two Wavebreakers at the same time is god tier. Big run with essentially a new boss fight, Grizzco Roller, vroom, motherfucking vroom. All of the weapons finally have two kits, a thanks for playing message at the end of the catalog, a commemorative photo in the back. Wait, what's going on here? Season 9, Drizzle Season 2024. Now the big question on everyone's mind, they said there would be 2 years worth of updates. Will there be more updates? Will Splatoon 3, the game obsessed with the number 3, have third weapon kits like both the previous games had? Like Sheldon's Picks Volume 1, or Sheldon's Picks Volume 2, or Kenta Collection 1, or Kenta Collection 2, or Kenta Collection 3, or Kenta Collection 4, or Sheldon's Picks again. It would be kinda surprising and disappointing to have all these options for subs and specials and only have 2 kits per main weapon, right? No new kits. No new gear. No new catalog? Just repeats? We're free. We're free! So what did it have? The Grand Festival, a special 72-hour Splatfest taking place on a brand new map.
Hold it!
We gotta stop the apocalypse first. The Grand Festival site was invaded by the salmon, so we gotta do a big run the weekend before. I think this was a great way to get a sneak peek of the new map, which is something I suggested in a previous video. Fight off the salmon, then we get to use the map. This big run in particular felt not just like another seasonal occurrence, but an event. In the same way, the Rapture would feel like an event. The usually stingy Grizzco Industries gave out a free heavy-duty suit, the first free item in Salmon Run history outside of the default suit. And I ain't gonna hold ya, it looks sick as hell. But I also grinded silver scales for that gold suit, so now I feel stupid. The news report seemed extra dire. Deep Cut themselves said that they're gonna help out, and as such, there were a couple of new Salmon Run Deep Cut remix songs. It was a golden rotation, which means all Grizzco weapons the whole time. The triumvirate bosses were back with a vengeance. The new stage added in egg cannons, with the closer ones having perfect accuracy, combined with Goldie showing up way more often, so everybody's egg totals were going crazy. And a good thing too, because they also introduced a total egg counter across all players worldwide, with a target goal of 700 million eggs delivered. And Grizzco once again promising a special reward if the total gets hit. Is the reward going to be third kits? Scales. The reward is scales. I think having this all-player total was a great idea. Rather than players competing against each other for higher rankings, it instead encouraged players at all skill levels to play the game mode more, and encourages you to continue the run, even if you had a scuffed wave 1 or 2 and had no chance of a high score. Which makes sense in universe that Big Run would want to be a more collaborative than competitive event. We're all working here to stop a cataclysmic event. The Splatoon community being what it is, that 700 million total was achieved within the first 15 hours of this 48-hour long event. And the final total was 1.5 billion eggs delivered, over double the quota. The counter hit its maximum value and just kept going. We received 15 golden scales, which is more golden scales than I've received in the past 12 months despite playing this game multiple times a week, 45 silver, and 450 bronze scales. With all these new features, this was the most fun Big Run. I even did a charity stream during it. If Big Run, or some equivalent, comes back, then they should bring all these new additions back, or introduce more gameplay features that really help to provide a new twist on a fun gameplay experience. Also with Season 9, scales that you would usually get from a King Salmon boss fights every 45 minutes were added to the regular shift rewards too. This feature maybe should have been in the game a little bit earlier, perhaps 2 years ago since launch, but it's great that it's here now. For real this time, the Grand Festival, announced via a very funny news segment with the JPEGs sliding back and forth depending on who's talking. The Grand Festival is a 3-day long Splatfest and music festival where you pick past, present, or future, and each team was represented by a different idol group. And I ain't gonna hold ya, it was incredible. The game has a brand new Grand Festival Plaza, which is actually where the first Splatoon 3 trailer and where the tutorial zone took place, which really nicely brings the whole game full circle. And this location really feels like you're at a music festival. During the first 2 days, there were 3 stages with the Squid Sisters, Off the Hook, and Deep Cut rotating and performing songs, but not just performing the regular versions of the songs from the game, but performing the live versions of the songs that you would hear at those Splatoon hologram concerts in Japan, along with full unique choreography choreography for each song. There's also all sorts of booths and characters, photo op spots, and with the 4 directional buttons, you can do different dance moves along with the music. This should have been in the game all the time, but it's great that it's here now. All 3 groups performed incredibly, especially the Squid Sisters. I'm pleased to report that they are, in fact, beating the washed allegations. In fact, I'm pretty sure I spent more time watching the concerts than having it on in the background while working on this video, because gameplay-wise, it's 72 hours of only turf war. However, every previous Tricolor stage was in rotation for the first 2 days, and there was some brand new battle music, plus the victory and loss songs referenced that game's victory song, whichever idol group you chose. And for the final 24 hours, all 7 idols performed a brand new song together on the main stage in a 7-minute long performance that can only be described as truly spectacular. Many players of Splatoon were tearing up at this concert. Not me though, I'm a big boy. The new Tricolor stage that we defended from the Salmon was also in rotation. The stage features another brand new song featuring all 7 idols that dynamically shifts with the Super Sprinkler. Since its inception, music has always been a crucial part of the Splatoon series, so it's great to see it featured so prominently in this incredible finale of Splatoon 3. Yup, the finale, because a day later they were like, yeah, the updates are done. Oh yeah, 4 new amiibo were released: Callie, Marie, Pearl, and Marina in their new outfits. The amiibo gear looks pretty good, but I don't know if these things actually exist because my pre-order has been delayed like 3 times now. Final ramblings. Looking at the total standalone package, Splatoon 3 is still the best Splatoon game. There are very specific things that each of the previous 2 games does better, but as a total package, Splatoon 3 is the best one. I mean, you can't even play Splatoon 1 online anymore. And good luck trying to find a full lobby in Splatoon 2. Back in December of 2022, me and Vasco Games were the only 2 people on the entire planet trying to play Splatoon 2 Salmon Run. However, when you take a closer look at Splatoon 3, the cracks start to show, especially considering how iterative this sequel is. Here's a tweet from @JackOrangeBeb that said it best that you can pause and read, but it feels like every cool new awesome thing is paired with a stupid thing or a disappointing thing. There were a ton of quality of life improvements with Splatoon 3, but also a ton of obvious features that were not added for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years into the game. In certain areas, Splatoon 3's lifecycle was largely spent catching up to the amount of stuff already in Splatoon 2, and it took longer. And a lot of the stuff was copied over from Splatoon 2. If you're already going to be so similar to Splatoon 2, then why are you missing popular features from Splatoon 2? Why not have everything? Each new season introduced a brand new play option, be it a new main weapon or a new special weapon. Season 1, Stringers and Splatanas. Season 2, Nova Shot Big Swig Pencil. Season 3, Super Chump and New Kraken. Season 4, S-Blast and Paintbrush. Season 5, Dreadringer, Heavy Edit, still a stupid fucking name. Season 6, Splashdown, 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 and Splatter Color Screen. Season 7, Recyclebrella and Dowser Dualies. Season 8, Railstring and Toothbrush. But the new specials would only be on like 2 weapons for 3 months. It would have been a great opportunity for more kits to be added in those specific seasons. And, for example, if you don't play buckets or splatlings and a new bucket and new splatling gets added, does that really feel like new content? Content that you're not gonna play? That's basically nothing, sort of, since you might have to play against it. For some seasons, a whole class of weapons just didn't get new weapons or new kits or nothing. Look at all the empty squares on the chart. Where is the vision? Most of the brand new main weapons were weird or fucking suck. You know, in Fire Emblem discussion, another game series I'm embarrassed to tell people that I play, there's a term I believe coined by Professor Bopper known as unit feel. Well, in Splatoon, I like to propose the concept of weapon feel. Some weapons may be tactically effective, but it doesn't quite give you that dopamine rush. Or at the very least, not as much as other weapons that have already been here. Here's this brand new weapon. It feels wimpy or shitty or a worse version of something already in the game. Also, its only kit for the next 6 months or more is fucking garbage. This was not a problem in Season 8. You got a huge Nissan Grand Cherokee swipe, litter the battlefield with more bottles chemicals in a recycling plant and get kills off screen. A Grizzle weapon that may not be the greatest in certain situations, but that does not matter because these weapons had high weapon feel. The Nova Shot. I 4-starred this weapon. I've used this weapon more than most players, and I'm here to say it absolutely does not need to be a 5-shot kill. Like, what the hell were they thinking? It needs to be 4 shots or it needs a huge buff in every category. Rollers are fun because they can kill you in one hit. They're rollover people. Big Swig can't do either of those things. Chargers, 1 shot from a long distance. Pencil can't do that. Yeah, it ended up dominating the meta, but was it because of the main weapon or was it because it paints well to get quick coolers? S-Blast. Wow, that weapon looks so cool. Short range and long range. Whoops, too small radius on its shot. Dog shit ass base kit. No one's gonna use it. Brushes are fast. Here's a slow ass brush with a lot of startup and end lag. Here's Umbrella, a weapon known for its shield with a shield that protects you as well as a condom with dozen holes poked through it. Here's Doolies, a weapon known for its dodge rolls that can only do 1 dodge roll. It's not that these weapons are bad or unusable, they just don't feel all that good to use compared to other stuff. Splatoon 2 new special injection, big ass hammer, a Dragon Ball Z spirit bomb. These are exciting. These make people want to keep playing the game. Splatoon 3 new special injection,
A bunch of easily dodgeable balloons. They're easy to dodge.
a big glob of ink that does more harm than good.
Also gives you motion sickness.
Did anyone get excited about these?
With the exception of Wellstring, none of these brand new weapons renewed my interest in the game.
And the Tri-Stringer kits are ass! The weapon on the cover of the game, you made a whole amiibo for it. Your options are Toxic Mist, which does nothing, Killer Whale, which does nothing, Sprinkler, which charges your special, which is Super Chump, which does fucking nothing. I'm one of the 0.1% of players that 5-starred this weapon, and it wasn't worth it.
On the other hand, waiting to debut new weapons helps to bring a lot of people back to the game.
It could just be my perception, but in my experience within the first couple weeks of each season, match load times are much faster than usual because there's more people playing and trying out the new stuff. It's extremely difficult to maintain constant excitement for a game for 2 whole years. It makes sense that new excitement would happen in waves at the start of each season, then taper off. On the other hand, maybe it would have been better to do more of a fighting game roster style DLC rollout, with more exciting new stuff available at launch, and bring back some old faves along with some new stuff as the game goes on. More brand new main weapons at the start, then wait to debut some of these launch specials. And with all these subs and specials, there absolutely should have been 3rd and maybe even 4th kits within the first 2 years. None of this would have been as big of a deal on a new console, but when you're on the same console and there's already a feature complete game, it's always going to run into the trouble of comparison to this other game that this game wanted to siphon players from. It would be interesting to revamp or entirely abandon the kit system for future games. Have 3 options for subs and 3 options for specials, tweak values for each setup to balance it. Are there going to be more updates to Splatoon 3? Maybe, but probably not. But maybe, but probably not. 4 hopes for Splatoon 4, outside of like more stuff, more new stuff, that goes without saying. Enough with these Splatfests. What's next? Quad color Splatfest? 4 days of nothing but turf war? No! There's gotta be a new way to invigorate players, appeal to both casual players and more consistent players and everyone in between. Nintendo is better at making video games than I am, but my suggestion would be to combine it with challenges. Splatfest where you jump super high or faster special, something. Bring back deep cut in some capacity. What's there is good, but there needs to be more, especially because in the single player they are the antagonists, so before the final sequence they only showed up for boss fights. Combined with the new skippable news, and many players are less familiar with Deep Cut's quirks than Off the Hook and Squid Sisters. This has led to a few silly gamers, Vicfion, to say that Splatoon 4 should bring back the unskippable news reports. I don't think we need to go that far. I think video games can in fact have effective characterization without an unskippable news report every time you turn the game on, because literally every single game ever made does this, including Splatoon. That being said, I would love to see a more ambitious story in the future. Splatoon almost feels feels embarrassed to have its story, which it shouldn't be. Hey, this story is about a super interesting post-apocalyptic setting. The story's over there in the corner, you don't pay too much attention. This background detail is super important to the story, but we won't talk about it, we won't acknowledge it. Read a logbook of what happened. Go buy an art book, it'll probably get retconned in the next game. I'm not saying it should be like fucking Xenoblade with 14 hours of cutscenes, or use every single character all the time in every game like Sonic the Hedgehog, but I don't know, the story of the game should happen in the game. More emphasis on Salmon Run, or whatever the PvE horde mode ends up being. It did get way more than Splatoon 2 got, but still not enough. It should be on equal footing as versus modes. And let's grind it, goddammit. Look, I get that it's a commentary on capitalism. Art is all about delivering emotions to its audience, and it is a bold design decision for the emotion delivered being fruitlessness, but I can't help that maybe there was a better way to do it. Splatoon 3 Deluxe would be the worst case scenario, and it probably won't be a launch title for the next Switch because you need a lot of players for an online game, so a lot of new consoles will need to be sold first. Unless the new game is a double release like Twilight Princess or Buttwa was, old Switch and new Switch release, we'll see. Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Anyways, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Comment below with how you feel about Splatoon 3 after 2 years. And today's comment code word is buff the Nova Shot. Comment buff the Nova Shot if you made it all the way through the video, and that's it, video's over.